Coast FM, community radio on the Central Coast.
Golden Brown, and that's one of your favourite songs, isn't it, Carlos Camacho?
Hello, Deb. Yes,
Hi.
It sure is.
Yeah.
I adore that song. There's something about it, isn't there?
Okay, yeah, and probably because you're a golden brown person.
That's it. Yeah, I mean,
nice skin.
It's got the connotation, hasn't it? I mean, I think the band wrote it for other reasons, but in my book, the last chapter of the book is called For the Love of Golden Brown, and it has that double connotation. One is the fact that when the character, who's Elaine, who's talking to Alistair, talks to him about the last time he saw Charlie was at a Stranglers gig, and he went away. It was pouring down rain, and they had just come out of the gig, and the last song they heard was Golden Brown. But funny enough, it was stormy and raining and cold, and he heard the last thing Charlie do was just hum Always the Sun to himself. So it was a nice contrast of that. So and it's also because Elaine is actually on a yacht up in Magnetic Island in the sun, and his skin is golden brown. So I thought it was a lovely title.
Beautiful. Reminds me of the beach and the sunshine.
Yes, and it's one of those songs, they brought the harpsichord back.
Yeah, did too.
It's beautiful, yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on the show today, Carlos Camacho, local psychologist and author. And you've got your book, Goodbye Charlie. I spoke to you a few weeks ago about that. How did the book launch go?
Oh, it was wonderful, Deb. We had a lot more people than we had expected. It was the room only took a certain amount, and we had about 50% more. So
wow,
the library people were a bit worried that obviously there's certain issues with that. But no, everyone was well behaved. We had a lot of fun.
That's good, the main thing.
Yeah.
So you launched the whole trilogy?
Yeah, well, just part one technically.
Yeah.
And we're going to do part two in November. And they were wonderful, the people there. Sharon from Tukli Library was wonderful. She helped a lot. I did contact quite a few libraries, and I've learned to go with the people that want you.
That's true.
So they were the first one that sought me out and did just a great job organising everything.
Okay, we want to speak about Mental Health Week, Men's Mental Health Week this week. Sorry about that. But firstly, just a quick rundown on your book, Goodbye Charlie, so that people that didn't hear our last interview sort of know what we're talking about your book.
Yeah, Goodbye Charlie is an autobiographical novel, I would say. It's fiction, but all the stories are based on my life. So Charlie is the character I've invented to represent my life, and he's about to be executed. He's got his last 8 weeks in a room, in a white room, so it's set in a white room, and a man called Alistair, who he doesn't know, is commissioned to go in and talk to Charlie in the last 8 weeks, saying he can write a book. But the publishing company want to highlight the bad things Charlie did. And it's really about Alistair's journey through Charlie's life and getting to know him, comes in with certain prejudices and comes out a different man because he meets Charlie. Then he also meets the people, like Elaine on the boat in Magnetic Island, who knew of Charlie. And so it is really the central character is Alistair, who's a fictional character.
Yeah, really good character, Alistair, because I did read the book, and I just picked up what you said. He comes to like Charlie at the end. Well,
he understands. Alistair's a character I've had for about 20-odd years in my head, and I've got a book that's coming out next year, which is the prequel to Goodbye Charlie. It's about Alistair prior, obviously, to meeting him, and he's a wonderful character because he's a very quiet person, but very cynical of the world, and he has those insights of society that he says to himself because he doesn't vocalize them, and so he's quite an introvert, but fairly eccentric from within, and I like that. So I'm developing that character for other stories too. Okay, well, good luck with the books. Thank you. And you can get them off Amazon, isn't it? Amazon.com.au. They can be they can be delivered from there, either an e-book, electronic version, or the paperback. Okay, thoroughly recommend it. Now, Men's Mental Health Week is this week, isn't it, Carlos? Yes, it's quite an important thing because in my job I see a lot of people, and I'm quite fortunate as a psychologist that I have a fairly good distribution with regards to gender. I do see a lot of men. Okay. I know a lot of other psychologists don't, because men tend not to open up or seek out or feel that they can cope with it or try to carry on. That's right. Put on a brave face. Sort of like Robin Williams. That's exactly right. And recently, unfortunately, who's one of my role models too is Anthony Bourdain, who the chef, who not only because of his cooking, but his view of the world and his wonderful adventures and his travels and the way he portrayed certain things with humility and so forth. And unfortunately, he also went last week and in quite tragic circumstances, and those two men, I mean, really from outside have it all, don't they? They do, and you'd never know what's going inside their mind, going on inside there, would you? Yeah, it's incredible, and it's evident that money, fame, possession, and these type of things that a lot of us would love to have or seek don't really make us happy.
That's right. Comes from within, doesn't it?
Exactly right. We need to. I think the focus is peace, trying to aim for peace, internal peace, and in a Western society, I suspect. And with Eastern societies, I'm not that familiar, but definitely with ours, there's a lot of pressure for people to achieve certain things. And once we get there, we realise that we already had it.
That's right.
It was just right there next to us, you know, all the time.
Such wise words. It's so true. Yeah. And the stress that we have in this life here, the go, go, go. It's, as you said, we need time to just have peace and relaxation. How do you manage high stress levels, Carlos?
I think it comes down to organisation. I think I talk to a lot of, as I was saying, men and women in my practice, and fortunately enough as well in other areas of my life, like book presentations, and I do seminars and so on. So I get a chance to meet lots of people, and I'm quite fortunate to travel and also work in Western Sydney, where there's many types of cultures. And I've noticed that there's a lot more that we have in common than different.
Yeah.
And but one thing we do have in common is the lack of organisation. I think people call it motivation. So when I talk to them, they say, you know, last week I didn't have the motivation to do the things I wanted to do, like go to the gym or play the guitar or, you know, spend time with my child or whatever it may be important. But it's not really about motivation. We've invented this word motivation almost to justify things. It's even used in law. What was your motivation for killing that person?
That's true.
So, but it's just a word. Motivation is not this external thing that comes to us. So, we're fortunate. Here comes motivation. Now I'm going to get up and go for a run. No.
How do you manifest motivation?
It's just organisation. You write down, you say, at 1:30 p.m. I'm going for a run.
Yeah.
When 1:30 p.m. comes, you put your gear on and you do it. So it's just organising the time, because we do have the time.
Yeah. And
some of us are very busy, some more than others, but there's always time. And I was speaking to somebody yesterday, and we've all done this before when we've texted someone or we ring someone, we leave messages, and then a few weeks go by, or sometimes months, and then we hear from them, they say, sorry, I was too busy. Well, that's not true, is it? Because you do have 5 seconds to respond to it.
Always.
And you do have 20 minutes to get on a treadmill, and if you don't have 20 minutes, you have 4 blocks of 5 minutes at least, but you find the time.
Organise your time.
Yeah. Organise the time and set yourself up for success. Because if you set yourself up for failure saying, I'm going to go to the gym for 3 hours every day, then that's not going to happen. Because none of us have a block of 3 hours every day. But you might have 20 minutes, and then that's a good start. And so I would say to people, the best thing is to eliminate the word motivation out of the vocabulary and use the word organisation.
Okay, I think they're wise words. Thank you, Carlos.
That's all right. It's just one of those things, I think, it's that we can get our head around, and it comes slowly, you know, and naturally. Yeah.
And what message would you give to men who are suffering from stress and depression and anxiety but aren't sort of out there to speak to someone about it? What would you say to them?
Yes, funny enough, I mean, there's been some research done lately, and one of the important things that we found, and I was actually listening to a professor that's carried out the research in the University of Western Sydney, and we've noticed that it's a very important, that's something that's very significant in a man's life is relationships. If a man has a couple of significant relationships in his life, it actually extends his life by about 7 years at least.
That's right.
It's incredible. So obviously the partner's very important, the person they're living with, and that's probably the most important one. And then hopefully have a very good friend. So have 2 important people, 3 even better, but 2 significant people that they can talk to. A psychologist is someone they can go to if they wish to not not introduce people into their problem. And so that's what we
Someone
do.
outside there.
Yeah.
Circle.
And it's private, it's confidential.
Yes.
And I think I'm quite successful with men because I try to break down the barriers of authority and hierarchy. So I take it more as we're having a coffee at a cafe, and rather than I'm the psychologist, you're the patient, and now you're going to listen
with
to
a white
me.
coat or something.
Yeah, men run out and they go, no.
Yeah.
And so I think once we bounce off ideas, and then men become more comfortable talking about sometimes quite stressful but also private things, which might be relationships or intimacy and issues that affect men quite significantly and sometimes feel worried or ashamed to talk about. And having that leverage with a man that he can open up to someone without being critical or judgmental, that's the first step, I think.
Fantastic message for men, because they're not weak to have these feelings that are buried deep inside them. We're all the same. We're all human. We just all want to love each other, don't we?
That's exactly right, Deb. And the beauty about it is that we function better. So I have patients, from extremes. One that may be at a very high risk of self-harm, to people that sit in my office and earn what I earn in a year, they earn a day.
Wow.
Very successful people. But
pressure.
They just want to be better. They just want to sometimes confirm what they've said to someone or what they're doing or organising their time. Sometimes it's not only about clinical psychology. It's also about... It's a bit like an athlete, trying to better their personal best. So I'm doing well. My relationship is great. I'm financially, I'm stable. I'm healthy. I'm doing all the things I want to do. But you know what? I just want to make sure, maintain those things, because I might be missing something. Or maybe it could be an option that I might spend more time with my children or do something extra with my wife and so forth. So they don't necessarily have to be in dire straits to seek help. Sometimes it's more like a life coaching type session, and people walk out of there saying, "Yep, I've confirmed what I've thought," or I've bounced this idea with someone that can stand outside the problem, doesn't know anyone else I'm talking about, and that can be very helpful too.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Carlos, for coming in. I could talk to you all day.
Yeah, well, I could talk all day. I'm lucky I get paid for talking all day, because I actually love talking to people. When I saw Silence of the Lambs, and when I was very young, 1990, I didn't realise, but now I realise what Dr. Lecter was trying to get from Clarice, because he had been stuck in that hole for good reasons, of course. And all he wanted was to hear a story. And then she told him about the times with the lambs and so forth, and he would just feel that ecstasy. And I do get a lot of satisfaction hearing people's stories.
Yeah. Well, you love your job. That's amazing. You've got to be in a job that you love and help people.
I'm very fortunate indeed.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming in, Carlos. I hope you come back and talk some more about mental health issues. Definitely.
Hopefully, look, if we reach out to one of your listeners and they can get something, I'm very, very happy. This is obviously it's just the tip of the iceberg, but I would strongly recommend for people to reach out, to talk to others, and to find out whether there's someone around the area that can help them.
Well, thank you again. And you've got 3 books to give away to 3 of our lucky listeners.
I love it.
I want people 6 last week.
Yeah, I'm very happy for people to have them, and this is not a business exercise, this book. It's very, very expensive making a book, and I just want people to have access to them, so I'm very happy to give some away today.
Because you can relate to things within your own life to your book, so very important, I think.
Yes.
So first 3 callers on 4322 0072 have a copy of Goodbye Charlie. And thanks again. Here's the church, and this is referred to in your book, Under the Milky Way, isn't it? Yeah, another beautiful song. Yeah. Possibly my favourite Aussie song of all time. And, yes, I was 18. We were in the middle of the desert. We turned the car off, and there were the stars. Okay. Thanks again, Carlos. Here's church, Under the Milky Way on Coast FM.